Hey everyone, welcome to this week's video. I'm finally back after a 2-week break. So I obviously took this break because of GCSE mocks and wanting to focus on my education. However, now we're back, we're stronger than ever, mocks are done, and to kick off with the next string of videos, I want to talk about GCSE mocks and kind of my review about it, speaking about the subjects I took, what it was like leading up to the exam, what it was like during the exam, how I felt about cheating, and what are the plans for the future. It'll be more of a sit down, chill kind of video. Let me know in the comments below how you guys felt about your exams, if you've done them, or when you are supposed to do them. Because I know a lot of people have mocks after January. I'm lucky enough that my school decided to do it before January, mainly because then I can relax over the Christmas break and not have to revise a crazy amount. So the first thing I want to talk about is how I felt leading up to the exams. So obviously I took a break, like I said, and that really helped because it gave me a lot of time to focus, and I love making these YouTube videos. However, it can be quite time consuming, especially because it can take up to like 10 hours to 12 hours just to make one video. So by taking that bit of time off, I was able to just kind of focus on exams. I felt decently good going up to the exams. I printed a bunch of past papers, 2017, 2018, anything that was on the new spec basically. And by printing these past papers, I was able to get a format of the questions and how they would be asking them, because like in a lot of subject, it's all well and good learning all the material, especially for things like sciences and history and English. However, you need to know how they're going to ask you the questions. Pretty much all years, they kind of reformat a question and reuse a question in a different sense. So by doing past papers, you get an idea of what it's like. For example, in biology, they waffle for like the first part of the question, going on about something that you haven't learned about and you would probably never have covered. However, then they kind of ask you a question to do with something that you would have learned in a different chapter. And by knowing how they format those questions, I was able to answer them quite easily and quite well and pick out the key details. This also meant I didn't consume too much time in the exam, and I finished relatively early for most exams. So leading up to the exams, I felt decently well. I was being as productive as possible. In my school, we were very lucky to have 2 teachers training days on the Thursday and Friday leading up to exams. That means we had Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday off with no school, and this gave everyone a lot of time to revise. On those days, I was revising a lot. I was revising about 8 hours a day for those days, which is a lot, I know, but I mean, it's for the exams, and I wasn't doing that for the whole 2 weeks. I was just mainly doing that for the last 4 days. For the couple weeks leading up to the exams, I wasn't doing as much revision I'd like to. I was doing, a couple hours a day, reviewing my cards. It was those 4 days off that were integral to how I'm going to be doing in the exams, I hope so. But yeah, on those 4 days, like I said, I just practiced questions, past papers. Sometimes I even called up my friends on Discord and we would go through like an English paper together and fill it out and try and stay within time constraints. All these things really helped me in the long term. I know some people who didn't kind of use their exam time wisely and they are regretting it now. However, most of my friends in my friend group did revise quite a lot, and we're beginning to see some of our first results, and it's paying off quite nicely for them. I get a lot of comments saying like, oh yeah, is it too late to start revising for mocks? I only have 1 week, I only have 2 weeks. In my school at least, I know we only do 1 paper for mocks. This means there are about 7 topics, and depending on what subject it is, for example science, there's about 7 topics, and in these 7 topics, they'll probably only ask about 4 or 5 of them in the exam, which I noticed. Like, obviously there's only so many marks you can have. They can only ask you so many chapters. So with that, I believe that it's really easy to even revise a week before your mocks and get great grades, because you just have to do it efficiently and effectively. So now I want to talk about what it was like in the exams. Exams came around, and due to COVID, we weren't allowed to go into the hall and do it as you would traditionally. It meant we were doing in-class mocks. There wasn't a staggered timetable or anything like that. We just kind of had to do it in part 1 and part 2. For science, what they did is that they split a 100-mark paper into 2 50-mark papers, jumbling up the questions. And I felt that this was probably one of the best ways to do it, as that meant people couldn't go home and look up the answers or couldn't go home and like revise a subject that they missed. It just meant you had to go off pure knowledge. However, I feel like this wasn't a perfect system, mainly because you could tell which questions were being asked in the first paper. For example, they would ask you chapter maybe 2, 3 and 4 in the first question, and just based on knowledge you could probably tell that they're going to ask chapters 4, 5 and 6 in the second part of the paper. However, it wasn't too bad. I think this method was quite good. However, I noticed that I was finishing the paper really quickly in that kind of first half, second half format, because when you're doing a whole paper in 1 hour 45 minutes, you tend to get kind of tired in the second half and not focus as much. This means that you need the extra time. However, by doing in 2 parts, you would be like kind of well rested and well rejuvenated for the second part, or just have a break in between, because sometimes we would have like double biology on one day and then we'll do one half of the paper in the first lesson and the second half in the second lesson. For things like English and history, I felt decently confident. We had like two lessons, I think, and then we had like a third lesson with like 10 minutes. So obviously in school, our lessons are formatted by the hour, so we do like between 50 minutes and 1 hour per lesson. However, it takes like 5 minutes for everyone to get in. It takes like 10 minutes for everything to be set up, so we'd end up having like 45 minutes. This meant the teachers had to kind of set up a second half of a lesson to do those rest of the exams, you know. For a subject like English, I don't think it was that big of an issue, mainly because with English, it's kind of hard to revise when you get home. Obviously, you can plan out what you're going to write for the question. However, it's still a little bit harder compared to something like if you were doing science for the second half and you knew what the questions were going to be. I don't think it was that bad. However, people have to take into consideration if they did do extra work at home. For something like maths, we did do one half and another half. However, they didn't split it up. We just did one paper. And this obviously meant people went home and did extra work. Personally, I'm going to say I didn't do any extra work at home. I had already revised a lot, so I felt pretty confident. However, if you do extra work at home, there's nothing saying you can't. You kind of have to factor into it that in the real exams, you're not going to be able to do that. You kind of have to go on your own knowledge. I know I've said that a lot, but you can't do that in the real exams. So maybe like kind of be more realistic about it if you did do that. I don't know how it works in your guys' school, so let me know in the description how your exams will proceed and take place. During the exams, felt decently confident. As you can see, it was formatted quite weirdly. For my subjects, I did take maths, English, triple science, history, computer science, and RS, so religious studies. Yeah, I think that's all the subjects I took. In my school, I do take BTEC product design. However, because it's BTEC, there's no like kind of formal exam for it. There's just a project, and that project we'll have to finish and we'll get a pass, merit, or distinction for it. So luckily there wasn't any formal exams for that. So I was pretty chill that I didn't have to do all my subjects in exam form. I want to quickly say also that this video is sponsored by GCSE Physics Online. They actually helped me a lot when it came to revising for my physics exam. They have a great website where you can do like tons of practice questions, and the owner of the website, Lewis, even does like live streams where he goes through papers, and there's like plenty of hours of content on there, as well as a great checklist. So if you need help for physics, I know physics can be one of the hardest sciences to revise for. There's a great premium plan for 36 months, so if you buy this in your own, it'll be valid for your entire GCSE course, and it's only £10, so check out in the description if you're interested in that. Now I want to talk about something a bit more serious, and it's people cheating. So obviously for the exams, a lot of them, if you didn't know, they're obviously going to use the 2020 or 2019 past papers, and those will be locked away by AQA. However, there were people who went around and either found the mark scheme or found some way of cheating. Their efforts are going to be kind of useless for this, especially because that England have said, like Gavin has said, that GCSE exams will be happening. Like they've set dates, they've issued different things that they will be doing to help students. However, the one thing that they're not going to do is cancel exams. So by cheating in these mocks, not only are you giving yourself a false kind of sense of achievement, but your efforts are also ill-gotten, because you're going to do your GCSEs, and you know, when you do your GCSEs, you're not going to get those grades. So if you're planning on cheating or have cheated, kind of think about that. I know in class, some people, like in my class, not some people, like one person in one of my exams, or probably more in other classes that I'm not in, did have their phones out because it wasn't in the hall and there wasn't any invigilators, and teachers just sat at their desk. So it meant that some students did have their phone out, and it would kind of be obvious who these students were, because it's weird when you're getting maybe a 2, 3, 4, and then you suddenly just jump up to 9, which is just a little bit weird for the teachers, and that tends to be on the radar of other teachers, and teachers will flag that. Like I said, there's not really much point of cheating. GCSEs are most likely going to happen. They do not want to cancel them, so your mocks won't factor in. Your real exams will probably end up being the grade that you'll get. Don't cheat. I'm not your mother, I'm not your father, but kind of think about what you've done and think how you would have really done in the exam if you had done it properly. Now, going on from that, horrible topic, let's move on to what's the plan for the future. So GCSE mocks are done. My hit video on this channel is my GCSE mocks video. And what's the plan for the future of my kind of revision and I guess the channel? Obviously there are still a lot of people who are doing their mocks in January. I originally thought we'll do our mocks in January as well. However, I was mistaken. Like I said, I'm very lucky that we didn't do our mocks in January because I want to have a nice Christmas break. And yeah, but for the past about couple days, I haven't really been revising. I've been going through my Anki cards. That's pretty much been it because I want to take a break. I, don't want to burn out. I did a lot of revision leading up to mocks, and if you did as well, you should probably take a break as well, especially since it's Christmas coming up. One of my very good friends, Sophie, said that I should take a break, and it's been really nice taking a guilt-free break. I know normally if I do take kind of a day off or I'm slacking, then I'll feel really guilty. However, now I don't feel guilty as I've done my exams for now, and it's still another, our next set of mocks are going to be in March. So, it's good that I'm taking a break now so I don't burn out, so I rejuvenate and get back my energy for revision. That'll be upcoming in January time. So if you're like that and you're planning to do a lot of revision in the holidays, try and take a break. However, I will also be, maybe posting a couple study with me's during the holiday. Not maybe a couple, but maybe I'll post a Christmas study with me or something like that. I know in my house we don't open presents and do Christmas till about 4 p.m. because that's pretty traditional for us. So maybe I'll post a morning study with me or something that you guys will enjoy because I will be kind of bored. However, I don't want you guys to think that I'm going to be revising over the holidays, and just because Udoka's revising, you should revise. That doesn't mean you should revise. I just do these sometimes for the entertainment of you guys and just because I have some work to do. Or maybe I'll do a productive kind of day where I'm not studying but doing other forms of work, for example scripting out YouTube videos and working through different kind of projects that I'm planning. If you don't like that or want to see any other kind of content, let me know in the comments and I'll try to get around to that. It's almost a new year, so I can start planning new stuff. Hope you guys are going to do well on your mocks or have done well on your mocks. If you're not happy with your grade, that's not an issue. The whole point of mocks is to find out your weaknesses. Like my teacher said, it's not to test you, but rather to find where your weaknesses are and where you're lacking and improve upon those weaknesses. And I feel like that's the best mindset to look at it. We still have 6 months to our first exam. I know my first exam at least, and I think most other people's is May 28th, which will be English language, I think. So we still have 6 months till that exam. So don't worry, 6 months is plenty of time. And some of our other exams are in June, July time. So don't worry. I know I keep saying that, but do not worry if you're not getting the grades you want right now. It's still early in the GCSE season. If you haven't already checked out my study with me leading up to mocks, it's 17 minutes of fabulous motivation and goodness. So check out right here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and have a productive week. So since you are such a loyal viewer and you've made it to the end, next week's video will be a long-awaited desk setup tour. Thank you for watching.